an absolutely amazing experience to be surrounded by so many people who were all fighting for the same thing.
So there was excitement, sense that we could change things, sense that this was just the most important thing we've probably ever done.
I was looking around and there was just like a sea of people. I've never seen that many people before.
We're going to take over the streets of London, aren't we? And the whole world is going to see what we think.
Less than 24 hours ago, Hans Blix's report to the UN had made the issue of going to war with Iraq now clearer. The US and UK pointed to his claims that Saddam Hussein was not fully cooperating and urged for a war to start immediately. No weapons of mass destruction had been found. Thousands of troops wait on call, millions of Iraqis prepare for war. And in York, over 1,000 residents and students gather together to try and change the course of history. York Against the War is filling coaches with people heading for a national anti-war demonstration in London, part of the first ever international day of protest.
Anyone with children, let go on coach 1, that's a very basic coach.
For every troop that they get into the Middle East, we have to get 20 times the number of protesters out, and more.
And at York's University, students against the war are preparing to accompany them.
People like to think that students are all apathetic these days, but when you have like issues like the war in Iraq, I think people do get quite involved and people get quite interested.
For many, this is their first march, and the excitement of joining what has been billed as the largest demonstration in history is a powerful feeling. But as the coaches set off, everyone is asking themselves the same questions. How many people will actually turn out? What will happen with so many people on the streets of London? And, most importantly, can this really stop a war?
Basically, we've got 1,100 people travelling down from York today on coaches. And in the last week we've filled about 6 or 7 coaches, so we've been absolutely inundated. I'll give you a scale of the things. In Devon they're sending 37 coaches. There's 10 coaches going from Ludlow, if anyone knows where Ludlow is. It's pretty good going. And probably the best of all, 200 coaches going down from Birmingham. Yeah, let's have a bit of audience participation. We're going to enjoy this trip, okay. So when they cheer, 200 from Birmingham. Yeah. Right. My estimate is we'll get over 1.5 million. I may be wrong, but we took 181 people down to the last demonstration in London, and that was 400,000 strong at least. And we've got a lot of people coming on the demonstration for the first time, which is also a really good indication. So if you wanted me to put a fiver on it, at least 1.5 million, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 million.
What difference do you think this march is going to make? Do these things really actually change politicians' minds?
Oh, absolutely. We know from the cabinet diaries of 1968 that the 100,000 demonstration in Grosvenor Square that year convinced Harold Wilson to say that they shouldn't send troops to Vietnam. And this time round, the movement is vastly greater than it was then. And I think a huge pressure from below can rock the establishment to the extent that they have to draw back from this catastrophe.
I haven't been on a march for about 15 years.
I don't believe it's about justice and all the crap that Bush is coming out with.
I'm here basically because my girlfriend bought me the ticket.
I don't believe anyone has the right to take another person's life. I think it's kind of arrogant to say that our lives are worth more than Iraqi people's.
What we should bear in mind is we could be in a very unique situation. This is the first time I think the potential is there for international people power. I know there's lots of reservations about it, but if people all over the world are going to demonstrate today, we can have people power on an international basis preventing a war from happening. Thank you.
But assembling that people power has not been easy. A lot of people have had to put in a lot of hard work.
Join the national demonstration against war on Saturday the 15th of February. Coach tickets available here. Time to make a stand to stop the war. We've got our usual Saturday stall, which we do every week. We're collecting petitions, we're asking for donations for badges, we're advertising the national demonstration on the 15th of February. And we just get a fantastic amount of support. It's really heartening.
We haven't really had a quiet moment, have we? There's a constant flow of people, which is excellent.
Had people queuing up to sign, which is very British.
I've got one, thank you. Going to come to the meeting on Monday.
And although the response is generally favourable,
You won't be seeing it there.
not everyone shares the same opinion.
Where there's famine or there's trouble, who goes in to help? It's the West.
Yeah,
You're quite right. It's like everything's Bush said. If you don't do it now, you'll suffer for it later.
I see where they're coming from, but I think the West has pussyfooted around these regimes for too long, and somebody has got to take a stand.
What about all of the innocent people? Have you got children or grandchildren?
They firmly believe in their cause, that they say stop the war in Iraq, but I wonder if they would feel very much like that if we were under imminent threat of attack in our country. I don't think they'd be stood on the market square then, would they?
You get people who go past shouting "bomb the bastards," and we had one bloke who came for several Saturdays in a row and walked rapidly past us shouting, "Cowards, why don't you go and live in Iraq?" When you see something in public that gives an opinion opposite to your own, well, I for one very often want to say I don't agree with that. But no, I would think many more than those come up and sign. So I think the amount of opposition that one overhears is much less than the number of people that come up and sign.
It's easy when you walk through the street to think that everything is just normal and ordinary with people shopping. But when you actually stop and you talk to people, when you put up a sign or hold out a petition, then you soon find out what the mood is. Time to make a stand against the war.
To go to the national demo on the 15th of February.
This is where it really happens. This is where you talk to ordinary people, where they can talk to you, where you can organise and actually get things done.
Where are you going today? Tell me where you're going. To London.
Where are you going to London for?
I don't know why we go to London now.
On the student coach, stewards Emma and Rowan have had refreshments and are in a good mood.
Stopping off at the service station was quite cool because we just saw the amount of people that were coming down, and everyone was just like, if there's this many people queuing for the toilet, I don't know how many people are going to be in London, and that kind of thing. So still hints
It
of
was
what
seeing
might
people
come.
from other places as well, like knowing it wasn't just York that was going.
Yeah.
Like, there were people from like Leeds and Bradford and Newcastle and things, so it kind of like brought it all home and stuff. The students in the coach now, they're tired obviously because we got them up at a really early hour for a student anyway, but no, they generally all seem to be in a really good mood, and everyone seems to be like really looking forward to it, I think, because it's going to be such a big event that you don't want to miss out on it. What do I think of student apathy? Well, I think the fact that we've got 6% of the university population here, like on our coaches, shows that, I mean, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be people who just sit there and like do nothing. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, even at university, most people have got an opinion, even if it's not our opinion.
And the ways in which they have expressed those views are imaginative and varied.
This is a peace gig organised by Students Against the War and York Against the War. So we did this before, we didn't get quite as good a response, but this time it's looking really good. The traditional forms of democracy in this country have entirely failed to prevent the war. Parliament's failed, the Labour Party's failed. The only way they're going to know about the opposition in this country to the war is if we make our opposition visible. And a way to do that is to get lots of people in the same place at the same time.
And they display this rejection of mainstream politics at a Valentine's Day lobby of their local MP.
It is not altruistic concern of the United States or UK government driving this war in Iraq to remove Saddam.
If you talk to someone about the Labour Party, about the Tory Party, or whatever, you know, it might not be something they want to talk about. They can't really relate to it. But things like this anti-war movement, it's a big issue. It affects everybody in this country and in the whole world. And I think people do realise that, and they are getting involved.
They read good books and quote, but never learn a language other than the scream of rocket burn. Our straighter talk is drowned, but ironclad. Elections, money, empire, oil, and dad. Cheers.
Politics now is in a different form. People, especially young people, are interested in issues as opposed to party politics that happens somewhere in London.
As the coaches enter London and the event becomes tangible, the protesters begin to realise what participation in this march actually means.
This really is a different march. Usually I can sleep the night before. I didn't sleep the night before this.
Today it feels as though we're part of a community.
Oh, look, loads of people going on the demo.
There's just such a buzz and I feel great with it, I really do.
A bit nervous because I've never been to one before.
I guess that's sort of like the excitement of a demo. You just don't know what's going to be there. You don't know how big it's going to be, who's going to be there, what's going to happen.
Quite excited actually, a little bit nervous, but it should be fun.
UN sanctions kill the poor, unite and fight to stop this war.
I'm not nervous, I'm really glad I've come on it. And a lot more people need to think about it and realise what might be happening.
All the indications are that it could well be the biggest demonstration ever in the UK, and if that doesn't make history, what does?
My dad just called me from the House of Parliament, and it's like a really good atmosphere.
But this isn't just a token demonstration, this is a demonstration that can actually stop a war.
This optimism had been bolstered only weeks earlier by anti-war MP George Galloway, speaking at York's largest ever public meeting.
We don't just have a peace movement here. We have an anti-imperialist movement. Members of Parliament have felt the political ground moving under their feet, and most of them want to keep their jobs more than they have any fixed views on any particular issue. So you can change them, and you must change them. Now, I believe that we are building in this country a mass movement of people, of clear-headed, clear-sighted people, such as has never been seen in this country before. If we can cut this umbilical cord, this bizarre love affair between a Labour Prime Minister and the most right-wing Republican President ever seen in American political history, if we can cut that umbilical cord, if we can pull Britain out of the war, believe me, the war will not happen. The stakes are high, but we can do it. We are the people who can do it, and we must do it. And you must be there on February the 15th. Thank you very much.
A standing ovation by a crowd with renewed hope and inspiration. A crowd ready to march.
Welcome to London.
Okay, we're getting off a bit early, got a bit of a walk to get to the main starting point. I think people are pretty excited. It's obviously going to be absolutely huge.
Bush, we know you. Your daddy was a killer too. George Bush, we know you. Your daddy was a killer too.
How would you describe the atmosphere here?
Bloody marvellous! It's really, really good. It's like loads of people like getting together just to like rejoice in this whole getting against the war thing.
All let the bombs out!
Bush and Blair!
All let the bombs out!
Do you think that the mood is that we can get change?
I think we might be able to do something. Even if it's a little something, it'll be a something, so.
I've never experienced anything like this in my life ever. And we're not even at the start point. And this is only the north start point. There's another one coming off the embankment. And it's just amazing, isn't it? It's just like people are coming out of the sewers. I have never, ever been on anything like this. Look, we're going to take over the streets of London, aren't we? It is so big. And these cars are mad, aren't they? These cars are stupid to be out on the roads, but then I don't think probably they were given an indication of the size of this march, but we knew because of the number of coaches that we were bringing. We're going to show the world, and you can feel it, can't you? You can feel the excitement of the crowds and everybody, look, smiling faces. We're going to do this, and the whole world is going to see what we think. Woo! It's just brilliant!
Rowan got a text message, and I don't know who told her, but apparently police estimate 1.3 million. If the police are estimating that many people, I don't even want to think about, like, the real number must be amazing, you know.
The demonstrations are chocker all the way to Hyde Park. We're actually towards the back of the demonstration here. It's absolutely massive all the way to Hyde Park, and this is a small leg of the demonstration. What you are seeing here is the practice.
In many ways, the atmosphere is more like a carnival than a demonstration. The diversity of the crowd is enormous, and the number of first-time protesters has meant that people from all walks of life are bonding under a common cause.
It's amazing. I never thought there would ever be like this many people. I really hoped there'd be like 750,000, a million, that kind of thing. And there's like 1.3 million and or even 2 million, some people say, and it's just amazing.
How are you feeling now physically? You alright, tired?
I'm tired, I'm cold, my feet are hurting, even though I have fat socks on, but it's worth it.
What is it inside you? What drives you to go out there and actually be a protester?
What motivates us to go out there? What motivates me is sheer bloody anger. Frankly, that when you just think about the weapons they're going to be using, cluster bombs. Cluster bombs are bombs that are dropped and then fragment into landmines that will blow off limbs for years to come. Depleted uranium bombs that will poison kids, lead to a huge rise in cancers such as leukemia.
I just don't understand how someone can decide to sort out a problem by killing people. And I really want to show my distaste for it and my complete objection to it. And then also another thing that really gets me angry is when Tony Blair turns around and says that he can't pay, money for schools, for hospitals, for firefighters, but, bombing another country just goes without saying.
Jeff Hoon, the Defence Secretary, has said that he would use nuclear weapons if he had to, and then the effect that could have. and what that means in terms of human suffering, why do I go out? Sheer bloody anger.
It's 4 o'clock now, we've had a phone call, still people coming into Gower Street. They haven't even got to Gower Street yet. It's just phenomenal. And it's so important, you can't underestimate how important it is. And they'll see this on the telly in America and Egypt and Guatemala, Philippines, every capital across Europe. They'll see this. And it'll be an inspiration to other people to build bigger and bigger and bigger demos.
How have you enjoyed today?
A lot. Incredibly so. It's really worth coming down for. It's still people coming in now, and it's like nearly the end of it, and it's just absolutely mental the way everyone's just come together to protest, and you get people, and you're going down the street and you're chanting and everyone joins in, and it's brilliant.
And then, over the PA, comes the news that everyone has been waiting for. The organisers estimate that 2 million people have marched in London today. This is the largest ever demonstration in British history.
They cannot pretend we live in a democracy and go to war to kill so many people when you have 2 million people out on the streets opposing them.
How does it feel to be here, Chris?
I almost feel like breaking into tears, to be honest. I don't feel that bad. It's extremely emotional. It's a mix between feeling really emotional that what we're doing is so important. That when you look around, you know, this isn't official politics. This is ordinary people that have done this, working really hard, day in, day out in their spare time. Not for any personal gain, because they want to save other people's lives. So it's a really noble cause.
We must learn to live together as brothers and sisters and not die apart as fools. And so, what is to be done? What should we do next? Keep working, keep struggling, and keep marching. It's hope time, it's healing time. Give peace a chance. It's hope time. It's healing time. It's hope time. It's healing time. It's hope time. It's healing time. Give peace a chance. Give peace a chance. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
I love you. Many people would say that on February the 15th you fought and you lost. What is there to do now?
We're going to keep on marching. If 2 million people had sat at home on February the 15th, that would have changed the world. The message that had gone out to Bush and Blair is you can go ahead with the slaughter. That 2 million turned out to say not in our name is fantastically significant.
The war isn't over. We've got to end the occupation, we've got to stop future wars, we've got to carry on sort of fighting against the racist backlash, things like that. We're going to carry on campaigning, we're not giving up, and we're not going to go away.
We know now that just a matter of weeks later, Blair was briefing his cabinet colleagues to prepare for a resignation speech. Next time he goes to war, we'll make him make that resignation speech.
you look at history, the women would never get the vote if they hadn't had people out there fighting for it. And sometimes it takes more time, but we really have to not lose heart and just keep going, because if we don't do anything, or if we just think about doing things, that's when the status quo can continue.
Your consistency used to be so clear. Your staccato now, is it over? Because when dreams collide, the real